Unit 1. Bene am bel pac crim prob grav lev words from mythology and history. Bene is Latin for well. A benefit is a good result or effect. Something beneficial produces good results or effects. The Latin root can be heard in other languages as well, good, or fine. In Spanish is bueno, in French, it's bon, and in Italian, just say bene. Benediction, a prayer that asks for God's blessing, especially a prayer that concludes a worship service. The moment the bishop had finished his benediction, she squeezed quickly out of her row and darted out the cathedral side entrance. In benediction, the bene root is joined by another Latin root, dictio, speaking, see dict, so the word's meaning becomes something like well-wishing. Perhaps the best-known benediction is the so-called Aaronic benediction from the Bible, which begins, "May the Lord bless you and keep you." An important section of the Catholic Mass was traditionally known as the Benedictus, after its first word, meaning blessed. It was Saint Benedict who organized the first Christian monasteries. Many Christians have been baptized Benedict in his honor, and 16 popes have taken it as their papal name. Benefactor, someone who helps another person or group, especially by giving money. An anonymous benefactor had given $15 million to establish an ecological institute at the university. A benefactor may be involved in almost any field. One may endow a scholarship fund, another may give money to expand a library, still another may leave a generous sum to a hospital in her will. The famous benefactions of John D. Rockefeller included the gifts that established the University of Chicago, the Rockefeller Foundation, and Rockefeller University. Many benefactors have reported that giving away their money turned out to be the most rewarding thing they ever did. Beneficiary, a person or organization that benefits or is expected to benefit from something, especially one that receives money or property when someone dies. Living in a trailer in near poverty, she received word in the mail that her father had died, naming her as the sole beneficiary of his life insurance policy. Beneficiary is often used in connection with life insurance, but it shows up in many other contexts as well. A college may be the beneficiary of a private donation. Your uncle's will may make a church his sole beneficiary, in which case all his money and property will go to it when he dies. A third-party beneficiary of a contract is a person, often a child, who the people signing the contract, which is usually an insurance policy or an employee benefit plan, want to benefit from it. In a more general way, a small business may be a beneficiary of changes to the tax code, or a restaurant may be the beneficiary when the one across the street closes down and its whole lunch crowd starts coming in. Benevolence, kindness, generosity. In those financially desperate years, the young couple was saved only by the benevolence of her elderly great-uncle. Part of benevolence comes from the Latin root meaning wish. The novels of Charles Dickens often include a benevolent figure who rescues the main characters at some point, Mr. Brownlow in Oliver Twist, Abel Magwitch in David Copperfield, Mr. Jarndyce in Bleak House, Ebenezer Scrooge in A Christmas Carol. To be benevolent, it helps to have money, but it's not necessary. Kind assistance of a non-financial sort may turn out to be life-saving benevolence as well. Am comes from the Latin amare, to love. The Roman god of love was known by two different names, Cupid and Amor. Amiable means friendly or good-natured, and amigo is Spanish for friend. Amicable, friendly, peaceful. Their relations with their in-laws were generally amicable, despite some bickering during the holidays. Amicable often describes relations between two groups, or especially two nations, for example, the United States and Canada, which are proud of sharing the longest unguarded border in the world. So we often speak of an amicable meeting or an amicable settlement. When amicable describes more personal relations, it may indicate a rather formal friendliness. But it's always nice when two friends who've been quarreling manage to have an amicable conversation and to say amicable goodbyes at the end. Enamored, charmed or fascinated, inflamed with love. Rebecca quickly became enamored of the town's rustic surroundings, its slow pace, and its eccentric characters. Computer hackers are always enamored of their new programs and games. Millions of readers have found themselves enamored with Jane Austen's novels. And Romeo and Juliet were, of course, utterly enamored of each other. But we also often use the word in negative contexts. A friend at work may complain that she's not enamored of the new boss, and when you start talking about how you're not enamored with the neighbors, it may be time to move. Note that both of and with are commonly used after enamored. Amorous, having or showing strong feelings of attraction or love. It turned out that the amorous congressman had gotten his girlfriend a good job and was paying for her apartment. A couple smooching on a park bench could be called amorous, or a young married couple who are always hugging and kissing. But the word is often used a bit sarcastically, as when a tabloid newspaper gets hold of some scandalous photos and calls the participants the amorous pair. In such cases, we may be encouraged to think the attraction is more physical than emotional. Paramour, a lover, often secret, not allowed by law or custom. He had been coming to the house for 2 years before her brothers realized that he was actually the paramour of their shy and withdrawn sister. Paramour came to English from French, a language based on Latin, though the modern French don't use the word. Since paramour meant through love, it implies a relationship based solely on love, often physical love, rather than on social custom or ceremony. So today, it tends to refer to the lover of a married man or woman, but may be used for any lover who isn't obeying the social rules.